Hundreds turned out in Annapolis Wednesday to honor George Floyd on the day he was buried. Our Sue Copen reports the starting point in Annapolis has important historic ties.
This is the Kunta Kinte Alex Haley Memorial at the City Dock in Annapolis. It's where Haley writes in his book Roots that Kunta Kinte arrived in America and was sold into slavery. In fact, Annapolis was a major center of the Atlantic slave trade. This is also the site where young and old gathered this week to begin a march and protest to honor police victim George Floyd on the day he was laid to rest.
Right now in 2020, what you have is the boiling point, and it is very symbolic that we are starting here at the Kunta Kinte Memorial on the funeral of George Floyd. I think it brings it all full circle, that even though we aren't enslaved, even though segregation isn't alive today, we still have a lot of struggles and we still have a ton of work to do.
Gerald Roysters attended a number of protests following George Floyd's death. He says today's Black Lives Matter movement is part of that awakening.
As a kid, when I was younger, it seemed something so far away, slavery being so far away, but as a man, a black man in America, I see that some of those same fears, some of the same issues that we have are very much alive.
Victoria Dillman, who made the trip to Annapolis from Harford County to take part in the protest, says she's not familiar with Annapolis's historic connection to slavery, but looks forward to learning about it.
Unfortunately, this was not part of the Maryland history that I was taught. So it's very disappointing. It's not surprising, but it's disappointing. And hopefully that will be one of the things that changes as we continue to speak up about the injustices occurring in our country.
Also adding her voice to the call for change, Anne Arundel County resident Kristen Bloom.
I was working with a client who has autism, he's nonverbal, he's African American, and I had to call the police about something, and I was terrified for his safety. And everything worked out fine. But in that terror, I realized there's a real problem.
And change is also what longtime activist, the Reverend Annie Chambers, urged the crowd gathered under the dome of the State House to fight for.
You all are the beginning of the revolution! You can't get on your knees! No, don't take a knee! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Let's fight back!
Or perhaps, as Alex Haley wrote in Roots, things don't get better unless you make them better. In Annapolis, Sue Copen for State Circle.